June 4th, 1944, off the coast of West Africa, a hunter-killer group led by the escort carrier USS Guadalcanal has been tracking a German U-boat for 17 hours. U-505 is trapped. Depth charges have damaged its systems. The crew is exhausted. The captain is on the edge of mental breakdown. Then the Americans do something unprecedented. They board the submarine while it's still afloat and capture it intact. Crew alive. Codebooks in hand. This is the only enemy warship boarded and captured by the U.S. Navy since the War of 1812, and the intelligence haul changes the course of the Battle of the Atlantic. U-505 is a Type 9C U-boat, one of Germany's long-range submarines designed for operations in the Central Atlantic and Caribbean. It's been at sea for 48 days, hunting Allied convoys between Africa and South America. The boat's commander is Oberleutnant Harold Lang. He's 27 years old, on his first patrol as captain. He's competent but inexperienced, and he's about to make decisions that doom his boat. The hunter-killer group tracking him consists of the escort carrier USS Guadalcanal and 5 destroyer escorts. They've been hunting U-boats for months using a new tactic. Instead of defending convoys, they actively hunt submarines in their patrol areas using aircraft and sonar. It's devastatingly effective. By June 1944, German U-boats are being sunk faster than they can be built. On June 4th, an Avenger torpedo bomber from Guadalcanal picks up a radar contact on the surface. U-505, running on diesels to charge batteries. The Avenger drops sonobuoys and marks the position. Lang crash dives, but he's been spotted. The destroyer escorts are already converging. USS Shetland makes sonar contact at 800 yards. The sub is deep, trying to sneak away. Chatelain's captain, Lieutenant Commander Dudley Knox, orders a depth charge pattern. 24 depth charges set to detonate at 150 feet. The ocean erupts. Underwater shockwaves hammer the submarine's pressure hull. Inside U-505, the lights go out. Chlorine gas from shattered battery cells fills the forward compartment. Gauges shatter. The depth gauge is stuck at 90 meters, but the boat is actually sinking past its crushed depth. Lang orders emergency blow. Compressed air blasts into the ballast tanks. The U-boat rockets toward the surface, completely out of control. U-505 breaks the surface, bow first at a 30-degree angle. Water cascades off the conning tower. The sub is dead in the water, no propulsion, taking on water from depth charge damage. Knox sees the surface submarine and immediately orders guns to open fire. His 3-inch deck gun starts hammering rounds at the conning tower. But Captain Daniel Gallery, commanding officer of the Guadalcanal, has other ideas. He's been planning for this exact scenario. He wants to capture a U-boat intact. Gallery radios all ships. Cease fire! Boarding party away! This is insane. U-boats are designed with scuttling charges. When capture is imminent, the crew sets demolition charges, opens the seacocks, and abandons ship. The submarine sinks in minutes. But Lang is panicking. The depth charging has damaged his nerves. He's convinced the boat is sinking immediately. He orders the crew to abandon ship but forgets to set the scuttling charges. The German crew starts pouring out of the conning tower hatch and jumping into the water. They're not even destroying documents or equipment, they're just trying to survive. Knox pulls Shetland alongside the surface U-boat. A boarding party of 8 sailors, led by Lieutenant Albert David, jumps across the gap onto the submarine's deck. David is the first American to board an enemy warship under fire since the 19th century. He's expecting the submarine to explode or sink at any moment, but he's got a job to do. The boarding party drops through the conning tower hatch into the submarine. It's dark. Water is ankle deep and rising. Chlorine gas burns their lungs. Machinery is sparking and smoking. The sub is deserted. The entire crew abandons ship without destroying anything. David's team starts frantically searching for scuttling charges. They find the seacocks open, water flooding in. One sailor, Zenon Lucosius, climbs into the bilge and manually closes the valves. The flooding stops. No scuttling charges found. Either Lang forgot to set them or they malfunctioned. The boarding party establishes that the submarine isn't going to explode. Now they start looting. Codebooks in the radio room, current German naval codes, locations of minefields, U-boat patrol areas, recognition signals, an Enigma cipher machine, complete with rotor settings for the current month, technical manuals, engineering diagrams, torpedo settings. This is an intelligence bonanza. The Allies have captured Enigma machines before from sinking U-boats, but never the current codebooks. Never a complete operational submarine with all its documentation intact. Repair parties from Shetland board the sub and start patching leaks. Pumps are brought over, the water level starts dropping. After 2 hours, U-505 is stable enough to tow. Gallery makes the decision to tow the submarine to Bermuda. This is a 2,400-mile tow across the Atlantic with a captured enemy submarine that could sink at any moment. The German crew is taken aboard Guadalcanal and immediately isolated. Gallery orders complete radio silence. No reports to Naval Command. No transmissions. He doesn't want German intelligence to know the submarine was captured. The tow takes 10 days. U-505 is towed stern first to minimize water intake through damaged bow compartments. Twice the tow line breaks and has to be reconnected once the submarine almost sinks when a compartment floods. But on June 19th, U-505 arrives at Port Royal Bay, Bermuda. It's the first enemy warship captured by the U.S. Navy in 130 years. The intelligence haul is immediately classified at the highest level. The codebooks are sent to Bletchley Park. The Enigma machine goes to Navy cryptanalysis. The technical documentation is analyzed by submarine warfare experts. Here's what the Allies learn. German U-boats are using a new acoustic homing torpedo called the T5 Zaunkönig. The technical manuals show exactly how it works and how to defeat it. The codebooks reveal current U-boat patrol areas, refueling points, and communication schedules. This allows Allied hunter-killer groups to intercept U-boats before they reach convoy routes. The engineering diagrams show improvements in German submarine design. Better batteries, quieter motors, snorkel systems for underwater diesel operation. All of this intelligence is used to refine Allied anti-submarine tactics. U-boat losses spiked dramatically in the summer of 1944. By September, German submarines are suffering a 50% loss rate per patrol. The Germans never figure out that U-505 was captured. They assume it was sunk with all hands, because none of the crew was ever returned or heard from again. The crew members are held in prisoner of war camps, isolated from other German prisoners, until the war ends. U-505's capture remains classified until 1954, 9 years after the war ends. When the story finally becomes public, Harold Lang, the former captain, is alive and living in Germany. In interviews, he admits he panicked. The depth charging broke his nerve. He ordered abandon ship without setting scuttling charges, without destroying documents, without even checking if the boat was actually sinking. His crew paid the price. They spent the rest of the war in POW camps, forbidden from contacting their families, believing their boat had been sunk and their capture was a personal failure. Lange never forgave himself. U-505 was brought to the United States after the war and eventually donated to the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago. It's now a permanent exhibit, the only German U-boat in the United States. Visitors can walk through the submarine, see the cramped quarters where 59 men lived for months at a time, touch the torpedo tubes, stand in the control room where Lang made his fatal decision. Here's why this capture matters. Intelligence wins wars. The codebooks and technical documentation from U-505 contributed to the final defeat of the U-boat threat. By late 1944, German submarines were no longer a strategic threat to Allied shipping. The Atlantic was won not just by depth charges and aircraft, but by intelligence, code breaking, and in this case, one panicked U-boat captain who forgot to scuttle his ship. Lieutenant Albert David received the Medal of Honor for leading the boarding party. His citation reads, "For conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity at the risk of his life above and beyond the call of duty as officer in charge of a party from the USS Pillsbury who boarded the U-505. He died in a training accident in 1945, 6 months before the war ended. The boarding party members received Navy crosses. Captain Gallery received a Distinguished Service Medal. And U-505 sits in Chicago, a reminder that sometimes the greatest naval victories don't come from sinking enemy ships, but from capturing them.